When God sent man out of the garden, suddenly you will find that since fellowship in Eden has been interfered with, you will just see from nowhere Abel and Cain building altars and putting sacrifice to God. So God taught them another way to still keep communication going, even though he sent them out of the garden. And so if communication was still going on, it means it was not anger that took man out of the garden. It was love, mercy. It was because they wanted to shield him from partaking of the tree of life after he had partake of the tree of knowledge. And I'm saying knowledge so that we see that it's basically the tree of knowledge. And since man does not have the capacity to partake of life anymore, since he has fallen, he has lost the ability to fellowship with life because he too has lost life. The next project in the heavens, they started thinking of a conversion process that they can break down life into light. And so, in John chapter 1, from verse 1, the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Verse 2, the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him there was not anything made that was made. Listen, in him was life, but that life will be transferred to men as light, because men cannot relate with life anymore. They need to convert life into a... How many of you did conversion process? They need to reduce life into a form that man can interact with. This is still the attempt of God to relate with man. So God broke himself down into light, so that the entrance of that word that comes as light, there's a technology that is left in your spirit. Because you find in Genesis chapter 3 verse 14, the Bible spoke when he was dishing out judgment to all the people who played a role in the fall of man. When he came to Satan, he says, dust you will eat for the rest of your days, and on thy belly shalt thou go. In Genesis chapter 2 verse 7, the Bible says, God formed man from the dust of the ground. There's a comma after that. As at that point, man was already alive. And it is biological life. The same life that goats have, that cows have. This is why none of these other life forms had the breath of God, but they are all alive. Because the breath did not make man alive. The breath only ministered a superior life that will govern the appetite of the biological life. Without that breath, it will live for how you feel. The way a goat just goes out and does anything as hormones demands. Without that breath, it will only pray when you feel like praying. And without the breath, the life you have is dust life. And so there are many believers that all they operate with is dust. The only thing that make you carry your altar seriously is maybe a nightmare. Now, what you are exhibiting there is dust life. Because your prayer is only a product of your feeling per moment. If you feel fear, you will go and pray. Dust life. Not too many people are alive. Oh. Many of us, we died. In fact, everybody arrived dead. We died in our ancestor Adam. We are all sleeping the sleep of Adam. But they sent the second Adam to wake men up from sleep. And if you have not met him, you are not alive. In all honesty. You may try and do anything. Try as much as you can. But your life will not make any meaning with spirits. Until they wake you up from that slumber. He says, awake thou that sleepest. Arise from the dead. They want to give you life, but you cannot handle life. So they say Christ will give you light. When that light enters you, it's Job chapter 8 verse 32, I think. 32 verse 8. It says, there is a spirit in man. The inspiration of the Almighty Spirit giveth them understanding. There is a technology in your spirit that has the capacity to reconvert light back to life. And so Jesus broke down life into light, presented light to man in his fallen state, knowing that when light enters you and reaches your spirit has the capacity to reconvert light back to life. so that you will find out that what you were listening to was knowledge, but knowledge was ministering. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirits and they are life.